Welcome back to Dirty 20, everyone. Today, we take a look at some news regarding the future of D&D, with the announcement of Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. Let's get on with the show. Thanks for joining us, lovely people. Now, back in September of last year, there was an announcement regarding the next evolution of D&D. Whether this will be a 6th edition or a 5.5 is yet to be clear. If you would like to know more about my feelings to this inevitable shift, check out the video that we did on the topic. But today I wanted to take a look at one of the first books that is going to be taking the first steps towards this transition. Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. Jeremy Crawford, lead designer of D&D 5th edition, had this to say at a press event recently. We are working as we speak on revisions of the core rulebooks that will be backward compatible. That was in our mind as we worked on Monsters of the Multiverse. So this book will be not only ready to go, but will be able to keep going for years to come. Backwards compatible, now that's kind of interesting. And it seems that this is how they're going to be making the switch over, by slowly changing things so that we as players barely take notice. And this seems to me something that they've been kind of trying to do with some of their latest releases. Most notably with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Now, in this book, the ability scores that were tied to ancestry, or what used to be known as the race that you chose, have actually been separated. This will be done in Monsters of the Multiverse with 33 ancestries that have not been collected into one book yet. Crawford had this to say about that. We really wanted to reinforce that all of the game's races are just as flexible as humans when it comes to the range of culture and personality. This move to update a slightly old-fashioned element of a game to be more in line with, modern society, I think is great. But as Crawford goes on, it's about more than just that. Way back when we started working on Monsters of the Multiverse, we have not liked how the choice of race in a game, whether you're going to be a member of the human race or one of the game's many fantastical races, had often too much weight on the player's choice of class. Now, this meaning that there was very clear advantages to picking a particular ancestry if you were going to play a particular class. Almost always, when you're building a character, you are almost penalizing yourself for not choosing the ancestry that goes synergistically with the bonuses that would most benefit your class. And this means that if you had this amazing character concept in mind that didn't quite fit the optimal choices, your character could often end up being a little bit underwhelming. Having said that, one of the best things about D&D is that if you don't really like the changes that have been made by the designers, you don't have to implement them at your table. I always tell people who have a gripe with 5e that they don't like the mechanics or how much it simplifies things that that's cool. You can play whatever edition you want at your table. Or if you're like our friend and collaborator Homebrew Master Eric, you can just make it whatever you want. Change it to fit how you would like to play. It seems that some of these changes that are coming to D&D in this next evolution, whatever that means, they're just trying really hard not to say like 6th edition or 5.5, not to pigeonhole it, which, I get. But it seems that a lot of these changes are going to be very hard to spot even, for veteran players, aside from when it comes to character creation. But this book also has monsters, as you might expect. And here it seems that the designers have kind of acknowledged that the CR rating isn't always the easiest or the best to follow at the minute. Previously, creatures were given a CR rating that essentially said that if a DM used them in this particular way, they would pose that level of challenge. But as we know, running monsters it rarely kind of follows a set path. So many different things can happen. And Crawford goes on to say, We've now made it so that each of the monsters has multiple choice sequences that lead to the same challenge rating. Almost any main combat path that the DM chooses through a monster, it's going to deliver that challenge rating. Now, this all sounds really great to me, but I've had my issues with the challenge rating in the past, and I think most of the DMs that I've spoken to about it have kind of felt the same. I'm really curious to see the changes that they've made to the CR system, as Crawford is kind of saying, and hope that it really has an impact, because for a long time it definitely has been one of my main issues with 5th edition. But overall, I'm quite excited for this book. I've been very pleased with the kind of rule expansion books, Xanathar's Guide to Everything and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And this seems that it might be doing some things kind of pushing in that direction, but obviously being still a kind of monster manual. But this does bring a slight issue that I kind of have with how they are releasing this book. And that is that you cannot buy this book separately. You have to buy it as part of a 3-book pack called the Dungeons & Dragons Rule Expansion Gift Set, which includes revised editions of Xanathar's Guide to Everything and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which I know I just said that I really like those books, but I already own them. So the fact that I can't get this book separately from these 2 books is a little bit of an issue. I feel like I'm probably going to wait till I can get it separately, although the alternate covers of the 3 books are really pretty. So who knows? But yeah, it's a shame. It seems that mostly it's kind of related to, the issues in supply that everyone around the world is experiencing. But as I say, I will probably wait until I can get it separately. Today, we're going to go back to our character building section for the second part of the show. We're going to look at building a hobgoblin player character. So stick around for that. But before we jump into that, please make sure that you have subscribed and hit that bell icon so you are notified every time we release a new video. Okay then, guys, as a special treat, this is something that I didn't mention earlier, but in Volo's Guide to Monsters, there is a section of monstrous adventurers, basically a way for you to use a monster as your ancestry, and build a player character with that. So I am going to do that using 5th edition character sheet, which is our favorite app for character creation. And for our race, we are going to find the hobgoblin. And we're actually going to go with a character concept that I came up with because I love westerns, and I love the idea of the kind of, the man with no name, the gunslinger, stuff like that. So I'm going to build a cleric, and I'm going to explain to you kind of where that comes from. As a background, we're going to choose soldier. And for the hobgoblin, you get +2 on constitution and +1 on intelligence. Now, I'm going to go 16 strength. I am going to go... Wisdom's quite important for the old clerics. I'm going to go 15 constitution. I'm going to go wisdom 12. No, I'm going to go dex 12. Wisdom 11. Intelligence 10. And charisma 8. Okay. Now, I may possibly change that around just because that... I don't know. Do I want to make my wisdom plus nothing? Or my intelligence plus nothing until it kind of goes up later, or I bring it up. Alright, so I'm going to go, and this might be a mistake, I'm going to go 10 wisdom, and I'm going to go 11 intelligence, because that plus 1's going to take me, on intelligence, it's going to take me to an intelligence of 12, which means plus 1 bonus. Now, I can pick 2 skills other than athletics and intimidation, which I get. And I'm going to go with medicine and religion. And let's go next. Now, there's so many great choices for the cleric, but I'm going very heavy on flavor here. So I'm going to go with a grave cleric, which is all about kind of the undead and dealing with the undead. Heal the dying as well. All right. Now, I'm going to go mace, leather armor, a light crossbow, and an explorer's pack. And I'm gonna call him Undertaker, the Undertaker. And this is because my concept for this character is he carries around with him I have a miniature. The miniature inspired the character, as usual. But he carries around a coffin on his back that's chained up. And I really like the idea of a hobgoblin who fell in love with maybe an elf or a human, and this love was forbidden and they ran away, but his tribe caught up with him, and something happened, but his wife, his beloved, died, and he now carries her remains in the coffin. Now then, I think the Undertaker's perhaps a little bit too on the nose, so I'm going to go with Gravedigger. There's also this great kind of gritty country western song called Gravedigger, which 100% is what I would use for him. But I just really love the concept of a hobgoblin who is now going from town to town, village to village, and kind of wants to be left alone, but always ends up in a situation where he's helping people. And stat-wise, he's definitely strong, good with medicine and religion. Now, I also, because the miniature sports a long shovel, I actually thought it would be kind of cool to make it like a glaive, for example, and have him use that in combat, because proficiencies, 2 martial weapons, so I'd take a glaive and maybe a long sword or a mace or something like that, and use that. Now, hobgoblin features, you have dark vision. Now, here you have this kind of leadership ability, which gives you You can increase an ability check, save, or attack roll that would miss by the number of allies within 30 feet that you can see once per rest. Up to a maximum of +5. And it takes a short or long rest to recover it. So, you know, very handy. The soldier feature, you have influence within your former army or organization. You know, maybe he was like a captain in his tribal legion, but if he'd have left, he'd have probably left, you know, badly. So I'd tweak that somehow. I'd talk with my DM about that. Now, Grave Cleric, your healing spells always heal for the maximum on dying or stabilized characters. So once someone goes down, then your spells will always do maximum healing, which is quite nice. Not as good as the Life Cleric, which always does maximum whenever they use their spells. You know, spare the dying and can use it as a bonus action on targets up to 30 feet away. That's really nice. And you can divine the location of undead within 60 feet and a clear path until the end of your next turn as an action. Wisdom modifier times per day. So again, I talk with my DM about this concept of him carrying, you know, the remains of his beloved in this coffin that he carries around and he kind of talks to, and how that might kind of come out, you know, in conversation with other party members and stuff like that. So that is the Grave Digger, a hobgoblin player character, which I think is quite cool. And yeah, definitely check out page number 119 in Volo's Guide to Monsters, where we have these monstrous adventurers and explaining how you can build them. There we have it, lovely people. What are your thoughts on the next evolution of D&D? What about Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse? Are you excited for some of the changes that are coming? Or will you be sticking with kind of the way that your table's been doing it thus far? And finally, what about the CR systems? Do you think it will improve things? Let us know down in the comments below. And as always, keep slaying. If you've enjoyed this content, then please smash that like button, subscribe, share this around online, and come and visit our website, www.lavictoriaproductions.com, to see all our past episodes, as well as our blog posts and all the stuff that we're currently working on at La Victoria Productions. Why not reach out to us and tell us what you think of our videos? You can reach us on Twitter. @MouthLaVictoria is our producer. We are also on Instagram. I am EnanoLVP, and our producer is Jazzy J. Cherot. We're also La Victoria Productions on Facebook and LinkedIn. Come on by and let us know what you think.